California forces public universities to offer abortion pills, actual abortion pills, to students. How long before transgender women demand that universities provide actual babies to abort in the name of trans equity? I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is The Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we're talking about a first-of-its-kind program in Austin, Texas, that makes it easier for women to get abortions at taxpayer expense. Plus, a college student says her professor nearly flunked her for making a pro-life brochure that criticized Planned Parenthood. But we start in California, where a bill has just been passed, making it the first state in the union to require universities to provide access to abortion drugs on campus. Actual abortion drugs, not morning after pills. This is the real deal, terminate a pregnancy. So the California legislature, we start with that, passed a bill that would force every public school university in the state to offer abortion pills to students. The bill is SB 24, and it states, because abortion by medication technique is both recognized treatment for medical condition of pregnancy and a health service, every pregnant person in the state, and what's the word? Person, not woman. That's right. Because every person in the state has the legal right to choose. It is the intent of the legislature that public university student health centers make abortion by medication techniques as accessible and cost-effective for students as possible. Why are you charging the students for this at all? And of course you're not, right? That's the thing. You're really not charging the students for this, but you kind of are, because the students won't be billed directly, but this will go through university fees, which will rise, and everyone's fees that get paid to the school are going to support this. In other words, you're not going to be able to opt out as a student. You're a student of conscience who says, look, I don't want any part of my ridiculous student fee allocation going to support this. There's no way that's going to fly in California.
And according to the actual SB 24 again, it says on and after January 1 of 2023, each public university student health center shall offer abortion by medication techniques on site. So it's Monday morning. Well, let's see. I have class at 9:30. Gonna go get my abortion drugs, then I'm gonna try and hit the gym. This is what they're offering now. The piece of legislation also says this service may be performed by providers on staff at the student health center through telehealth services, because now we're doing telehealth everywhere.
So you can call in
and get
your pill. That's right.
Or by providers associated with a contracted external agency.
Given how hardcore leftist California is in the legislature, given the fact that there is really almost no challenge, no serious political challenge to anything they want to do, why don't you just mandatorily put abortion clinics on every campus? I mean, why not? Why this messing around? Why not simply allow? There's nothing that's going to stop you, right? I can't imagine the people of California would wake up and rebel against this. I can't imagine that the taxpayer, who's been fleeced left and right by California politicians, would object to this.
Well, and the thing that they discussed, too, they would welcome it because a 2018 study published in the Journal of Adolescent Health found that an estimated between 322 to 519 California public university students seek medication for abortions each month. And so if you would just put the clinic right there on campus, hey, it would make it so much easier for them. As many as 62% of these students at these universities were more than 30 minutes. 30 minutes they would have to travel to get their abortion.
But then we learn, according to the story, that there are nearly 750,000 enrolled students at these various campuses, and less than a small number of hundreds who really need this service, right? It's pretty fringe, if you ask me.
Moving on to what Governor Gavin Newsom's opinion is, because it's passed the legislature, but it still has to be signed by the governor. Gavin Newsom, Ken doll extraordinaire.
Why is Gavin Newsom a Ken doll? Because he's plastic, yes. Because he's cheap, yes. And because he has no crotch.
That's true.
Can we say that on public TV?
Yes.
Can we say that on the show?
Yes, he is previously supported a draft of this, so we know that he will sign this. And in fall of 2018, he said, I would have supported that. I have long supported that. I subscribe to Planned Parenthood and Narol's position on that.
Gavin Newsom would have to take testosterone injections for 6 years just to rise to the level of Pajama Boy.
So the bill claims that more than 400,000 female students attend the University of California school system. So 400,000. And it's interesting that they even note that, because why would they even care to note that female students?
I was going to say, how dare they choose to make this a binary thing? I was woke. I gave the whole number of 750,000 students. I didn't engage in the racist, sexist, bigoted, homophobic nature of trying to distinguish between girls and boys when it comes to abortion. And you went and the state of California.
The bill did.
The bill went and ruined it by suggesting that women, about 405,000 of them, would be eligible for this, when in reality, any man who wants an abortion should be able to do this. And in our opening teaser, I was kind of half kidding.
And I just want to give a little advice to anyone who's thinking about either having an abortion or hey, at least they're doing it with just some pills, and then it'll be easier on your system, or it won't be as gruesome. Go watch the movie Unplanned see exactly what happened to Abby Johnson, who was the former director at Planned Parenthood, when she had her abortion, and she's had a couple, when she took the pills, and what happened to her, and how she was down and out for weeks.
Yeah, you've got all sorts of wonderful options between crushing a baby's skull and sucking a brain out, cutting it up in the womb, or now poisoning it as if it were an unwanted rat in your bathtub. So good, keep going, California. We expect more of this from you. Just get more woke, okay? Stop pretending that 405,000 women are going to benefit more than the 750,000 people, all of whom may get pregnant at any point.
Before we move on to the next story, we want to talk about something important. Every week, the Dr. Duke Show reaches tens of thousands of people on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Parler, and a dozen audio podcast platforms. Daily, we're covering stories that you'll never hear on larger networks. And as we approach our 100th episode, we are honored to say our videos have amassed more than 45 million views, thanks to all of you. And we want to continue reaching millions more. This is why we're asking for your support through our Patriot Club, which consists of a $25 monthly tax-deductible donation and keeps the cameras rolling. Your gift is more than you realize, as more moms and dads are tuning in every single day to watch the show. But there's more bang for your buck. When you sign up for the Patriot Club, we're going to send you a gift box of goodies. And every 3 months, we'll ship you a new gift to show our appreciation, which is in contrast to some of those other shows that give you a one-time tumbler. Please visit drdukeshow.com to pledge your support. Your donation literally keeps the lights on and the snarkiness in full supply. Well, in Austin, Texas is so woke.
So Austin?
Austin, Texas. They're known basically as the bastion for liberals if you live in Texas.
Keep Austin weird.
Keep Austin.
Is the motto, right?
Well, they decided it would be a good idea to make abortion more accessible for low-income women by...
Again, there they go with this women stuff. I'm very offended.
Well, they're funding the services to get access to get to the abortion, and that includes the travel, the lodging. I love how they included childcare and other logistical support. So on September 10th, the City Council approved the measure from within the municipal budget package. And obviously, if you're, in your local municipality, always look at what's put into the budget. We know at the federal level, giant omnibus, well, it's kind of like the same thing here. Well, their municipal budget package, it made it so they were the first ever U.S. city to publicly fund logistical support abortion, quote, care in quotes there. New York City was basically their inspiration, they said. Of course.
So basically you're going to be able to get an abortion in Austin, Texas, and some public service bus will pick you up, a car. You'll have your own car and driver.
Oh, yes.
They'll stop off at the local restaurant of your choice for a paid-for meal.
Not Chick-fil-A.
Not for Chick-fil-A. No, of course not Chick-fil-A. For a paid-for meal. Then what are they going to do? They take you on a little mini shopping spree downtown?
Maybe. Right? In the lodging.
Get your nails done. Right, then they're going to drive you to an abortion clinic where you'll have... Can't you just see like lifestyles of the rich and famous? Today on abortions of Austin City women. Look at the wonderful cab. Look at the wonderful stretch limousine that's rolled out for this young woman who wants to abort her first spa baby, right? And the 4-star dining on her way to the chamber, the execution chamber. Can't you just see? What's that guy's name?
I don't remember.
Robin Leach?
You think it's Leach?
Robin Leach, right? Lifestyles of the rich and pregnant.
But not for too much longer. Okay.
There you go.
The budget amendment is in the amount of $150,000 and will be given to Austin's Public Health Department, which will then make it available via a competitive bidding process for groups that are already providing so-called, quote, logistical support for poor women who need abortion care. So Planned Parenthood, is that who they're going to give it to?
No, Planned Parenthood wouldn't be involved in this.
That's a good point.
They're just about women's health care, Planned Parenthood.
That's true. So Greg I have Kazar. He's the Austin City Council member who basically spearheaded this whole thing, and he's a co-sponsor of the budget amendment. Here's what he said. Every day, the anti-abortion elements in Texas and Washington, D.C. and elsewhere wake up and think, how can we restrict access to abortion today? That makes it our job every day to work to expand access to abortion and health care and other basic services related to abortion. This is an Austin City Council member. That's
so
what
pro-life people engage in pro-life causes, which means we have to double down on making it easy. We're basically going to pay women to come and see us so we can abort their babies. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yes, because it's those anti-abortion or
you
people
love these
the
woke
pro-life.
Texas.
Yeah,
this is the Beto O'Rourke woke Texas.
Robert Francis.
Robert Francis. Greg Casar is one of them, evidently.
Yes. Well, and the mayor, Steve Adler, he is part of the conversation that they had during, the budget amendments. And he talked about, in a statement after, he said, the city of Austin has taken action to address challenges people are facing as a result of state and federal laws that make it difficult for families seeking an abortion. This budget amendment will help ensure Austinites can make the best choices for themselves and their families.
I'm terribly offended that they would go to families. What is it? What role does the family play in this? You mean dad has any say in this? How dare they? First of all, they're limiting abortions to women. They're foregrounding women in their abortion propaganda, and which is offensive to transgender women, and they're actually pointing out here that these are family decisions. Somehow I don't think 4-year-old Sissy has any say in what mom does with her baby, and certainly the idea that any husband would have any right whatsoever to question his wife's decision, this is just terribly unwoke.
Kazar, if we call him that, said he hopes that Austin's actions can provide a model because he wants to be, it's all about them being a model for how blue cities in red states can still advance abortion rights. He says, it's really important for our progressive cities to not just be sites of resistance, but to also be places of progress, to be examples of what governance could look like if progressives ran more of our states so that people see what we're fighting for, not just what we're fighting against.
Yeah, right. We're fighting for what again exactly? Death. That's right. We're fighting for, this is mandatory buybacks of the lives of your unborn children. Let's put this in beta male's own parlance.
Yeah, man.
What did he say? Hell yes. Yeah. Hell yes. We're fighting for the mandatory right to murder your children. We're gonna come for your babies. You'll be mandatorily forced to abort your babies when more progressives are in charge of blue cities inside of red states.
If he makes it to the next debate, I would put money on that he will say that.
Somehow I think Beto's going to make it.
Yeah.
Because he is too privileged, too white, too male, too pretty, and too stupid for them to leave him off stage. And for entertainment value alone,
I think
they're going to have to have him
exactly. All right, well, let's move on to an issue that happened with a student who said that she nearly flunked and wasn't able to graduate after her professor made her basically gave her a 0 for this brochure that she was forced to make in her queer studies class.
Oh, yeah.
So the student is Brianna Manget, and she was in a queer studies class at the University of California. Oh, California still. California Davis last spring when she said her professor nearly flunked her. Raina Jalil is an assistant professor of gender, sexuality, and women's studies, and she gave Manget the 0 points for the brochure she made. Here's the brochure she made. Take a look at it. It's probably one of the best visually well-done brochures I've seen come out of college kids in recent years because they can't do anything on their own, and they would just get a PowerPoint presentation and slap it on there. But the professor Jalil said that the student was being accused of using biased resources because she used facts. If you look at some of the things that she says she includes facts about Planned Parenthood, and it's just facts. She just stated it, but that's not the angle that she was supposed to take.
No, and that's the key. We've reached the point in colleges where it's like the New York Times. Yeah. Biased research is anything that disagrees with our subjective opinion. And so you can just see this, right? You've got a woman taking a queer studies course at University of California, Davis. Right there, those three things are guaranteed that this is not going to be, you better not buck the orthodoxy here. And Rana Jalil, right, decided that I don't like your message, so therefore all your sources, which are factually based, are in reality propaganda.
Yeah, and it's because it's the queer studies course. Mm-hmm. So the thing that's kind of interesting about Brianna is that if you look at her Facebook page, it's not like she's she's pro-life, but she's not some raging right-winger, the stereotypes of all that. It's just that for this,
Katie.
The fact that she said pro-life meant she got
Katie.
Points, yes.
Ah, innocent Katie.
What did I do
To
now?
be pro-life is to be a raging right-wing Nazi to the left. That's just the way it is. In fact, it's not. You don't even have to be pro-life. You could just be You could just want limits put on abortion. Look, maybe it's I'm completely pro-life feminist. Yay, way to go, beta male. I just don't think you should be cutting babies to pieces when half of them are out of the vaginal canal. That makes you a Nazi to the left.
This is true. And so the question is, well, how did she almost flunk the entire course? Well, this brochure, which was titled in the point breakdown as Queer Emergency, she got a 0 on that, and it was worth 30% of her grade. That right there was 30% of her grade.
Can we just call it a queergency? Queer emergency. Let's call it a queergency. A queergency. A queergency is any time you provide radical homosexual activists with anything remotely like a fact or a scientific reality. That's a queergency.
Queergency, yeah.
We have coined a word.
Well, we'll go with it. Well, Mangit had received 100% on every other assignment except 3 total. So she got that 0. Then she got a 90 on her midterm and a 77 on the final paper. And that 77 is because, again, she didn't say all the right things in it.
That's right.
So that's her grade went from, I guess, an A- to a D-, and she barely then graduated in the spring. But of course, it's all okay because the professor, Jalil, according to her faculty page, it says it right on there that she received a fellowship sponsored by the Abortion Rights Center for Reproductive Rights at Columbia Law School. So all is well, and the professors have no bias themselves.
No. Bias doesn't exist unless you're in the middle of a queergency and you seek to argue that any kind of abortion anywhere has any restrictions, right?
That's true.
And what's troublesome about this, and it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, this demonstrates here that what goes on in these courses, particularly these ethnic studies courses, these women's studies and gender-based courses, this is not about critical engagement. This is not about learning. It's not about critical thinking. This is about conformity. You will conform or it's going to have a major, major impact on your grade. And that's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And universities don't seem to want to change that anytime soon. In fact, if anything, this methodology that is really non-academic, right? It's purely ideological. That's now beginning to affect the sciences. It's not the sciences are being run over by stuff like this, to the degree that if you again cite a scientific study or a basic aspect of demonstrable biology, you're a Nazi.
Well, on that note, that's all we have for this Wednesday. Don't forget to share this episode and subscribe to the free audio podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and everywhere else. Visit drdukeshow.com. Again, subscribe there for free. And then make sure you head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review so we can grow the show.
And that does it for us. As a reminder, if you're a fan of the show, please consider joining our Patriot Club as well. For $25 a month, you can help keep us afloat. Keep this going for moms and dads around the country. Sign up at thedrdukeshow.com, and you get tchotchkes, too. We'll send you something. All right, we'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for Freedom Project. I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. And I don't always talk about education, my friends. When I do, I prefer the Dr. Duke Show. Stay educated.